I think so.
You think so? What do you mean? You better know so. Hello, and welcome to the Disc Dog Pod. I'm your host, Kirby McIlveen, and this is my co-host,
Jeff Hill.
And this might be your first podcast episode with us, so if it is, welcome. And we're excited that you're interested in joining the world of disc dogging. It is a wonderful place full of very, very happy flying dogs.
Yes, and we're going to talk a little bit about the history, the kinds of discs you could get, the kinds of ways you could play with your dog, organizations. It's just going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, everything, how to get started. So, welcome and thanks for tuning in. And if you have a friend that is interested in trying this with their dog, send this on over to them because this is going to help them get started. Everything you need to get into the whole world of disc dogging. So I'm going to start off a little bit with a story about how this whole thing got started. And it started with a dog named Ashley Whippet, who was owned by Alex Stein. And how the whole dog catching a Frisbee idea got popularized is because of Alex and his dog Ashley. And Alex is, quite a funny guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him, make sure you get a signature and stay for a story because he has quite the personality.
Super friendly.
He's a great guy.
Perfect ambassador for our sport.
Absolutely. And if you meet him, you will understand why the sport got started and it is the way it is. So anyway, so Alex is a young man. He smuggled his Whippet into the Dodgers Stadium because he kept getting, turned down by agencies. He wanted somebody to represent him and his dog, who his dog would jump, I've heard 8 feet in the air, 9 feet in the air to catch a disc. And this dog was spectacular. And he was hoping, to get on TV or get into acting gigs. And he kept getting turned down. So he finally took it upon himself. And he said, you know what? I'm going to show the world what my dog has.
You're going to see us.
You are going to see us regardless of, whether you want to or not. And so he smuggled Ashley into Dodger Stadium. And to keep the long story short, he went out during
seventh inning stretch.
Yes.
Where if you don't know baseball, it's a period of time where it's like a relaxation. That's when you go get your food and things like that, and you finish up the game right after that.
And so he went out there and he started throwing to Ashley. And while he was not supposed to be out there, everybody was so in awe of what he was doing,
including the players.
Yes. That they did not pull him off the field for several minutes.
Yeah, 5 or 10 minutes. I think he was out there a long time.
They watched him just throwing and this dog leaping and catching. They were so mesmerized. But then they finally said, okay, we've got to get this guy off the field. We've got to finish the game. This is, enough's enough. He's really not supposed to be out there. So long story short, they escorted Alex off the field and, but the idea stuck. People saw Disc Dog, and I think others were inspired to go start playing with their own dogs at home. So because of the efforts of Alex Stein with Ashley and Eldon McIntyre and Hyper Hank, they started this whole competition series called the Ashley Whippet Invitational, and they're the reasons that disc dogging is around today. And I think you'll talk about another key player in that.
So Irv Lander was the organizer that came into play, and he had the vision of how this could become worldwide. And it has become worldwide. His vision came to fruition, and nobody else could have ever imagined this. Alex knew that he had something. He knew there was entertainment. He knew there was something special. But Irv had the vision of how to bring this to the people and bring the people to it. And Irv created a series called the Ashley Whippet Invitational, and that started in 1974, I believe. So they started the organization, and it's been the longest running organization since, and one of our favorites, of course. I mean, AWI, it's just
the original
classic. It's the original. You can't not like it.
So that brings us to today's world of disc dogging.
What do you need?
Yeah, how do you get started? So, you want to get discs, right? And very important to note is that a lot of the stores that you see, even pet stores selling discs, are not necessarily safe for your dog. So a lot of the ones that they have, the pet store branded discs, are not necessarily safe plastic because when the dogs catch it, the discs crack.
They're too hard.
Those sharp edges could
Yep.
hurt your dog's mouth. They shatter. You don't want them eating pieces of plastic.
And beyond that, they fly terribly. You don't even want them anyways.
Right. So, a lot of people start with floppy discs. So you can look at,
Those are wonderful.
There's that strawberry. What is that? Floppy
Flyer?
It's like, it looks like a strawberry or watermelon.
Color.
And there's also the Chuck It Paraflight is a good soft fabric disc to get started. This is where a lot of people get their start. Hyperflight used to have
they had one.
I hope they bring it back.
Yes, it's
Come on,
very nice.
Hyperflight. Please bring back that fabric disc.
Right. Sometimes there's some rubbery ones that are okay. They're not the best. The fabric ones fly surprisingly well for a fabric disc. So I'd say fabric is probably the best to start with, like a puppy kind of thing.
Where their teeth are growing in and all that. So that's a great place to start. So I recommend those. And now, eventually, when you get to competition level, they're likely going to only allow that in the novice divisions or the lower levels. As you move up, they're going to want you to switch to one of the competition level brands. And so
you're going to want to also.
You are. They're going to fly better.
They fly better. The dogs will like them more. The dogs love them. I mean.
Oh, yes. So, the three main brands in the United States are Hero Disc USA, Hyperflight, and Discovering the World. So each of those offers their own different types of discs, and they have special twists on different.
Absolutely.
Dogs want different things. Different handlers want different things. So Hyperflight and Hero both have like small and big discs. Hyperflight has some really soft discs for dogs that are getting started. The Soft Flight's a great one to start with, especially if you're moving up from a fabric disc. A lot of people like the Hero discs. The Superstars and Extras are very, very popular. My personal favorites are the Airs and the Superheroes, and I think your personal favorites are the Hyperflight.
So my favorites are from Hyperflight. I really love the Hyperflex disc, and you can tell it when you see it because it's purple. It's the most purpley disc you've ever seen. For a dog that's getting older, or a really young dog, or a dog that has a really soft mouth, they have a Soft Flight disc, and it's bright yellow. It only comes in one color also. And I also like the Jaws and the Pup Jaws discs. Those are the main ones I use. From Hero, I like the Extra and the Superstar. But we both start, and most people start, if you want to throw the original, if you want to throw a Frisbee, an actual Frisbee, the only one that's a Frisbee is from Discovering the World.
Yeah. Fun fact, Frisbee is a trademark term. So, we're not Frisbee dogs, quote unquote, technically. It's disc dog is the technical term.
I'm sure they're okay with the low advertisement there. It was originally Whammo that owned the name, and the Discovering the World now has that name and the rights to be able to make the discs. So the original discs that were used back in the 70s were those, they're called a fastback, and they're available at Discovering the World. I think it's called a Chomper now, like their own version of it, but it's the Frisbee, and it's the standard disc. It's very similar to a Hero Air or a Hyperflight Z disc.
Yeah, most of the other brands have kind of created their disc off of this and made iterations of it in their own way.
Right. But if you want good variety, go with either Hyperflight or Hero just for variety, because they have so many different sizes and shapes and weights and materials. You got softer materials and harder materials and thicker discs and thinner discs. There's all different ones. Discovering the World, they stick mostly to the original discs that they made.
Yes, exactly. And, that's something to keep in mind, is that if your dog doesn't necessarily like one type of disc, that may not mean that they don't like disc. They just may not like that disc. So you might try a different type of disc, and they might like that one. So
when you order some,
keep that in mind.
A few different ones.
Yes, I would recommend that too. I would say generally start with a light one or a softer one, and then you'll move up to, as your dog gets more and more into it, they might start biting the disc harder because they're more excited about it, and you'll end up getting something more durable like a Hyperflight Jaws or Hero Super Swirl.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are great discs to start with. DTworld.com is Discovering the World's website. HeroDiscUSA.com, I believe. And for Hyperflight, you can either go to Hyperflight.com, but the better place to go is Skyhounds.com with a Z at the end.
And we'll talk about Skyhounds a little bit later.
And because that's where you could actually buy them. There's a shop button or something like that. So that's, you could either go to either one.
Either one,
But Skyhounds is generally the one that most people go to.
Yeah. And, if you're not sure, just Google it. There's a lot of resources online nowadays about where to find discs and what discs are out there. And, we'll talk about clubs and getting involved later in the episode. But if you're not sure what to get, a great place is to, ask some other people what to start with. Like I said, I recommend, Hyperflight Soft Flight, Hyperflight Competition Standard is a great one to start with. Hero Disc Air 235 or Extra 235. Those are great ones to start with for your bigger dogs.
And a smaller, like kind of in between, like one step down in size, you can go with a Sonic. Which is it's a very unique disc. It's by Hero, and it's it's not the smallest, it's not the biggest. It's just in between. It's kind of a medium-sized disc. It's probably the only medium-sized disc out there.
I think that's kind of similar size to Jaws and Pump Standard.
It's the flight. The height of it is much lower. The much smaller rim.
True. That's true.
But so, and then there's pup discs from Hyperflight or Skyhounds, and they are much smaller, and they come in all different types of materials as well.
Yep,
for a puppy or a little disc.
Atoms that are
and the Atoms,
also
that's right.
small. So, yeah, lots of options out there, as you can tell. I mean,
when I started,
there really wasn't that many.
When I was your age, there was only one disc in town. I don't know how many times I've heard that, but it's sad because I've said that exactly like that. I don't know how many times.
That's how long we've been doing this.
It's true. There was only the Fastback, and that is a great disc to start with. It's like it's right in the middle of everything. It's just kind of an average disc. If you just want to try a disc, go to dtworld.com and try one of theirs.
Absolutely.
And in Europe, there's other brands we're not as familiar with them.
Yeah, so I think we're a little hesitant to recommend, but if you're looking for European brands, I would reach out to some European disc starters out there. And, disc starters you'll find are very friendly for the most part, and they will give you a recommendation. And everybody's always very happy to help.
We love sharing the sport and our love for it because we love the dogs, we love the discs, we love the people and everything. So,
very friendly sport. So don't be afraid to reach out and dive into the group and get involved. So.
Well, if you're going to get involved, what's the first thing you would do?
Well, I think at this point, with social media, everybody is on social media. So there's always social media groups going on. Now, I will say it's a little bit boomerish, but there's a lot of disc doggers on Facebook nowadays. So I know a lot of you youngins out there on TikTok and Instagram, but a lot of the disc dog happenings go on Facebook.
Facebook and YouTube.
Reactivate your account.
But YouTube, though, is great for the videos.
YouTube
it's better than any of the other ones. It has tons of videos if you want to
and old videos
videos. You can see see us when we started and other people when they started.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube. You can
see Alex, as we talked about. You could see many video clips of him on the late night talk shows, and even from the not from the Dodger Stadium, but those types of
some
events.
Other like halftime shows that he did. A lot of cool footage on YouTube. Search up disc dog, and there's videos upon videos, and you'll be entertained for hours for sure.
Right.
So, as far as once you have discs and getting started, what you want to do is get started with your dog, right? So what are you going to do that?
So the first thing I do when I get my dog is just get the disc and kind of get them familiar with it, and hopefully they show a little bit of interest. What is this thing?
If they're already interested in toys, like a tug toy or a ball,
if they're interested in a ball,
they're going to like it.
They will play Frisbee. And for many reasons, playing with a disc is much safer than a ball. One day we'll have a podcast on that, but stick with the discs over the balls in general. What you could do, though, is make it look like a ball when you're playing with them. How do you do? What's your technique? What do you do to make it look like a ball?
Make it look like a ball?
Yeah.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Okay. So one of the ways I call it getting their prey drive in,
Yes.
Chase. Getting that chase instinct to come out of them. And so we do what is called a roller. And let's see if we have a disc here.
For those not watching,
if you're not watching and you're listening, we're going to describe it for you. So you've got a disc in your hand, and there's a standard way to hold the disc, which I think most people know is just holding the disc in your hand, like you're going to shake a hand with somebody. And you're going to turn the disc vertically, and then you're going to roll it up in your arm, and then unroll the disc so that it kind of unrolls out of your arm and onto the ground vertically, and it starts rolling rather than flying in the air. And so this is going to get their, chase instinct, their prey drive going to get the disc.
If you just go out and throw it, they don't know how to catch it right away. There's never been a dog that you just throw it and they just catch it the first try. It's never happened. I know some people say it. I've even said it, but it doesn't really happen. they don't know what to do. And it's not that interesting either, especially if you throw it far. If you throw it far, they're not even going to pay any attention at all. And if you throw it just a couple feet, it's not that interesting. But guess what you could do? When you roll it like that,
it's a lot more like a critter running, like a rabbit.
And
or
you could do it pretty far. Even for a young dog that is not familiar with it, you could do it 20, 30, 40 feet and roll it. And they look at that. If nothing else, they're going to take note of it. And they're going to say, what is this? And most dogs are just going to go after it. Even if they don't go crazy after it, they're going to move towards it.
Yes.
And the idea is just to get them to chase it and say, what is this thing? So it's kind of like a ball rolling or other things, or a critter, a rabbit, or something like that. The other way you could do it, this is a little bit more advanced, but some people find it a little easier sometimes to do it this way.
Yes.
And this is where some people call it a peace sign grip. If you're not watching, you put 2 fingers under the disc and your thumb on top, and you just do the same kind of thing, rolling the disc.
You flick the disc out of your hand so that it goes on the ground and continues rolling.
Yes. So you may find one or the other easier. As long as it's rolling, it should really roll. A lot of people, they try to do almost like a bowling kind of motion, which doesn't work. And this disc is spinning the wrong way. You want it to spin in the direction.
Like a wheel.
Like a wheel. Think of a wheel spinning, and you're going to do the same thing. And there's another really good thing we start them out with.
Yeah, so usually once they're going after rollers, and they start grabbing onto them and they're excited to grab the disc, we're going to do something that's called a
take. And a take is where you really start making things happen.
Yeah, this is basically like you're simulating the disc flying in the air, and they're going to jump up and grab it. But we're going to make it a little bit easier for them. So instead of making the whole toss, we're just going to hold it in the air as if it's floating, just like you threw it, but just hold it like it's floating. And the dog's going to come up and they're going to take it out of your hand. Yep. So you make it easy for them by holding it in a consistent spot, and they take it out of your hand, and you give them a yes, good job if you want to use a clicker, but you throw a party after they do that and let them know that was a good thing and that's what you wanted.
If they're just looking at it, well, it's not doing anything, just pull it away from them, just move away from them. Especially at the beginning, everything you want to do away from them. If you throw the disc to the dog, roll it to the dog, they're not going to like that. Away from them. So just move the disc while you're holding it like you're going to throw it, but don't throw it, and move it, and then it entices them to grab it.
Yeah, just keep in mind you're always trying to increase that prey drive, that instinct of chase. So, bunnies don't run towards the dog.
Yes,
that would be kind of a dumb bunny. The bunny always runs away from the dog, and that's what engages the dog to want to go chase it. So that's the same thing with our discs and our toys. You want to move the toy away from them so that they want to chase it down.
And if they are already chasing rollers, which hopefully at this point they're going after them, once they grab it, you could tug a little bit with them, and then either with that disc or another disc if you want, roll it as a reward. So tug a little bit as a reward, then roll it as a reward.
That's another thing I always recommend. If your dog's new, if you're new to training, I would start out with multiple discs so that you have something to get back to them. Because I think, every dog owner knows the old, fun game of chase, that when you have one toy and you throw it to the dog and they decide, well, I got the toy. What do I need to give it to you for?
And they don't want to give it back.
And if you have another toy, then you can entice them with the second toy.
This is a huge problem with people when they start out, that many of them only use one disc. And then later on, when we start talking about some of the other things we do in this sport, you need to be able to play with more than one disc at one time. So you don't want to just rely on one disc. So once you have rollers and takes, what would you do next?
I would start doing little tosses. Just do little short ones at first, make it easier for them, and you can make it a little more challenging as they get confident and make it longer and longer, and soon you've got yourself a true disc dog.
That's right, and it's so exciting.
Yes, it's very, very addicting, especially once you see their dog make their first catch. That is like the coolest thing.
So what kinds of games do we have in this sport?
Well, so I think most people start with a good old game of toss and fetch. That's the traditional standard first event.
That's like your backyard game too, I guess you could say.
This is what most people are playing at the park with their dogs. So if your dog's already playing and you want to get into the whole competition world, you're probably ready to do so. I think one of the most common misconceptions is people think, oh, my dog's not ready or they're not good enough. But if you're playing at the park and your dog's catching the disc, you're probably ready to, jump on in and get started into a novice division or something at your local events.
Right. And Toss and Fetch is a timed event. 60 to 90 seconds. And basically, it's how many throws you can get off and how many points you can get. And the points are based on how far you throw. There may or may not be out of bounds. The fields will be marked. Think of like a football field or something like that. It's kind of similar.
It's usually not as long.
Not as big. Not as big. We most people can't throw that far. That's another thing.
That's another thing. You don't have to throw super far to get started.
Right.
That's another thing.
It's one disc. So you do need to be able to get the disc back from your dog to be able to throw the next disc. That's one of the important things about it. And it's just very simple. As fast as they can bring it back to you. Stand behind a line, a start line, a throw line, and you just get as many points as you can. And each 10 yards or 15 meters or whatever it is for the organization, you get more points.
Yeah, we'll talk about organizations a little bit later, but each organization has their own little twist on the rules, but most of all, they're generally the same, same games for the most part.
And while this is the most basic game you can play with your dog, this is also played at the highest level for the most prestigious world championships. You must be able to do this. So
Absolutely.
This, just because it sounds simple doesn't mean it's easy either, you know? So it's a very important part of our game, and we all value it and we all love to do it. It's a lot of fun, and that's how everyone starts.
I think that's one of the most beautiful things about toss and fetch is that even, the most very beginner person can do it.
Yes.
But then also, you've got people that have been practicing this for years and are doing it at the expert level, yet we're all still playing the same game.
That's right. So, Kirby, you got to tell us, what is our favorite game? Come on.
So another discipline in the disc dog world is what we call freestyle. And that's just it. It's basically freestyle. You get multiple discs. You're going to, you could either put a routine together with music or you can wing it. But it's any tricks that you can think of to do with your dog.
That's right.
And nothing's really off limits. I mean, you can do all types of things. We've seen people kick them off their feet. The dogs jump off their back and catch the disc. I mean, I've done it where you hold the disc in your mouth and the dog jumps and grabs it out of your mouth. So talk about roles reversed.
and there's versions of it with two handlers and one dog, where you're throwing discs to each other and to the dog. There's different times. It could be a minute and a half. It could be 2 minutes. Multiple
it depends on the
types
organization.
of discs. It could be 5 discs, 7 discs, 8, 9, 10 discs, unlimited discs. There's, depending on the organization, there's all different rules for that, but the idea is the same. You do what you like to do with multiple discs. Yeah. And that's why at the beginning we said it's so important to play with multiple discs right off the bat, because I promise you, when you start playing, every single person, I mean, it's virtually everybody, gets into freestyle.
At least tries it.
You've at
least got to try it. Hey, if it's not for you, it's not for you, but you at least got to try it at some point once you're into it.
Right.
Because it's a blast. I mean, you pick your own music.
It's
the
artistic.
routines are
That's what I was
so
just
fun.
thinking. You have, it's the only real thing in the whole entire sport that has an artistic part of it, I would say. I don't think any of the other events do. But freestyle, it's style. I love the style part of it. You could dress up a little bit. Sometimes people wear costumes. The dog might wear a little costume if it's safe, as long as it's safe.
Matching outfits. Everybody's got, matching.
Matching disc colors. You could go out with your favorite sports teams and use like alternating colors, like a red and a blue. If you have a team that's a red and a blue or something, or just your favorite color. Your dog could have a bandana that's blue, and you have blue discs. All those kinds of things.
Yeah, and just to keep it short, the judging is typically based on the dog category, the human category, the team category, and then some sort of catch ratio success type category where they count your catches versus your misses and how much success you had in the routine. They'll judge your difficulty and the dog's abilities and all of the different types of tricks you do, how creative it was, how unique and original it was, and how much fun it was to watch.
Right.
So that's another thing, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely take a look on YouTube. There's a lot of great videos out there of so many tricks have been done that are so cool.
Yeah.
So
that's our favorite. Most people, many people, it becomes their favorite because it's just so awesome.
It's so fun. So another discipline that's available to play in is long distance, where you throw as far as you can and try to get a catch as far as you can make it.
She can outthrow me, by the way.
Luckily the men's and the women's divisions are split, so Jeff doesn't have to worry about me in the men's division. But there's different twists on the rule for this, but it's pretty much how far can you throw and how far can your dog catch it? And very important that the dog catches it, not just that the handler throws far. So it's not necessarily all about the furthest throw. It's about the furthest catch. So that's an important piece of it.
Right. And sometimes there's a time, sometimes there's not. And so it just depends. And sometimes it's a number of throws. It's how many, or it might be how many throws you can get within a time limit. So think of it a little bit like toss and fetch, but you're trying to throw
maximum.
much further. And in toss and fetch, it's usually a throw and a retrieve, kind of quick. Whereas in distance, there's usually a little more setup time before your throw because you need to get ready, and there's sometimes a run up and things like that, and more preparation, setting your dog up, because if you're throwing at 70, 80, 100, 120 yards, you got to have everything just right or it's not going to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that one's always really fun to watch, especially these guys that can throw so darn far. And actually, a lot of the ladies are getting up there too.
Yeah, well,
into the 80s and 90s.
You especially. I mean, come on, you're awesome.
There are some girls that are throwing farther than me now.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, yeah, they're throwing really far, and it's a joy to watch.
Yes.
So what about, there's a group of other games, right? So let's talk
the
about
other
that.
ones, we just call them games typically. I know I called some of the others games. They're all kind of games. But there's a whole lot of other ways that you can play the sport. And they could be something let's call it, there's one called bullseye, where you throw the disc, and there's a bullseye marked on the field, and you can throw in any direction, and you have to use multiple discs.
You're standing in the center of the bullseye.
You stand in the center, and
right?
you throw out. And if you throw past the first line, you get so many points. Throw past the second line, you get so many points. And again, it's timed. All of these games are timed 1 minute, as far as I can think of. I think every one of them is 1 minute. And
unless they're a time-based game, there's a couple of games out there that's about how fast can you complete the task. Like Time Trial is 2 catches past the 20-yard line.
Right.
And how fast can your dog do that? And there's some dogs that are doing it in 15 seconds.
Right. And some of the games you're throwing from a circle or behind the line, and you're throwing to spots on a field. There's just so many variations of it.
We could do a whole episode on just all the different games.
10 episodes.
Many games.
Yeah, there's easily probably 20 within the organizations, and then the individual clubs all have their own versions of these too.
Yeah.
So there's all different ones, and there's just variations of them. They're generally simple, fun. Everyone can understand them. And a lot of these, somebody even newer in the sport can come out and win it, because you don't need to throw 70 yards or 40 yards. You don't have to do fancy tricks like in a freestyle routine.
Right.
You could just go out and play it. So people tend to love these games. Like almost everybody from beginner all the way up to advanced love these games.
Yeah, they're super fun.
So if you are looking to get involved in the sport and show up and maybe try to compete, the best way to do that is to contact one of your local clubs. You could look online, you can search Google, or you could go to Facebook. That's a really good source on Facebook, because most of the organizations are running through Facebook at this point. Very few are even really using websites to a strong degree.
Yeah, so you can Google or search on Facebook. I would look up, maybe the local major city in your area and disc dogs. Like our club, if you're in Southern California, our club is called Disc Dogs in Southern California. So if you happen to be local to us out here, come on out to Disc Dogs in Southern California, and we'll be happy to have you. But if you're not in our local area, you can check out, there's clubs all over the world. And, if there's not a club near you, you might be the one to spearhead and start it.
Right. And a lot of people have done that. They just get started in the sport, and they're living somewhere that there just happens to not be a club. And that's how they started. That's how all these clubs have started.
I mean, they may travel out to somebody else's event to check it out, learn some things, take it home. And a lot of these clubs grow by doing local demonstrations for events nearby them, and try to get other people on board and say, hey, look, you can do this too. My dog's doing it. And that's usually how a lot of these clubs form is, somebody sees somebody doing it and they say, hey, my dog wants to do that. And then all of a sudden you've got a group of people that are out there playing with their dogs together. Yes,
you could look for a demo like Kirby said, or you could find, they might have a clinic, and those are great because the whole purpose of a clinic is to teach you. And usually the fees for something like that are minimal few dollars maybe, if anything. Even the demos, a lot of times the demos are completely free, or you have to pay maybe $10 to get into the venue if it's at a big venue. Those are all great ways to get started, or just show up to a competition and see what it's really about.
Start asking questions.
Yes, and believe me, the competitors love to be asked questions about getting into sport and learning about it. It's a bit flattering because you're asking us questions and we feel good that we know something and we can help you out with something, and everyone's there to help.
Absolutely.
And so the next step is there are a lot of different organizations that put on events via the clubs. And how do those work?
So, the clubs are the people that actually host the events most of the time. But a lot of times they use rules from what we call organizations. So if you're familiar with agility, it would be like an agility club hosting an AKC trial or hosting a USDAA trial, something like that. So DISC runs similarly, where there are overarching organizations that have worldwide series that, they have qualifiers all over the world. And in the fall, they have a world championship for that particular organization. So there's several different organizations. They all offer their own games and their own twist. A lot of them run kind of similar games, but again, their own little taste of that game.
Right. And for example, probably the simplest of all of them is the Toss and Fetch League. And this is just toss and fetch. They make the rules very simplified. You don't need to even mark the field for the event, so it's easy for clubs to put it on. And it's a league, so it runs every week with a break in between. After every so many weeks, there's a break, and there's probably 4, 5, 6 leagues throughout the year. And the costs are very minimal also.
It's a great way to get started.
It's a great way to get started. So look into Toss and Fetch.
And you only have to have a couple people to get together to do it and play and be part of the league, and that's a great way to start.
And so one that we mentioned, I think really important to talk about, other than Toss and Fetch League being first, just because it's the simplest.
It's very simple to get involved with.
The first we mentioned already, the Ashley Whitbit Invitational.
That's the original, and they offer freestyle, toss and fetch, and freestyle and toss and fetch combined together. That's pretty common to have an overall champion with freestyle and toss and fetch combined. So they offer that, and freestyle and toss and fetch. They also offer a small dog division. And they are the original canine disc competition. So
it is. It's the pinnacle of the sport. There's nowhere up from there. It's the Mount Everest of the sport. It really is. It's the original. It's the biggest. It's the longest running for 50 years, 51 years now, right around there. Yeah, that's one you got to check out.
Another one that's really, really popular, very big, is Skyhounds. That they're also associated with Hyperflight that makes the discs that we talked about earlier. And Skyhounds is really cool because they offer freestyle. They offer the pairs freestyle with the 2 people and 1 dog. They offer a children's division with, kids under 15 years old can play in freestyle and toss and fetch. They offer the small dog, toss and fetch, and freestyle. They also offer long distance.
For men and women split.
Yep.
And with the small dogs.
And with the small dogs. And they also have a variety of disc dog games that's called the Disc Dogathon, where they also have a big dog division and a little dog division. So
and
they have a huge offering of what you can play in at Skyhounds.
And the World Championships are an entire week to cover all of those different events. It's spectacular. So
it's huge. Sometimes there's 100 competitors in a division at Skyhounds.
So if you want to go to an event to see just sort of a spectacle, I mean, that's Skyhounds. It's crazy. It's awesome. I love it. We both love it. We both love AWR. We love all these organizations.
Absolutely.
We really do. Another one of the original ones, I think one of the oldest is UFO.
Yes. And they were the first one to take their world championships to Europe. So that's something of interest. If you don't live in the U.S. and you live in Europe, that may be one that's a little bit more convenient for you to go to their world finals, because they typically have it every other year in Europe. And they offer freestyle, toss and fetch, an overall championship, as well as they typically offer a distance event as well. Not every time, but a lot of the times they offer a long distance event.
Right. And then a lot of years they also offer a continental championship, not the world championships. So if the world championships are held in the United States, in Europe, they will have a European championship, basically, for everybody in Europe.
Yeah,
So they get to compete also.
Absolutely.
So,
and that one's very freestyle based. Their overall championship is very heavily weighted towards the freestyle. So if you're into freestyle, their organization is very pro freestyler.
Right.
And then another one.
So another one, USDDN.
Really big.
USDDN, I'm a board member of USDDN, so if you have any USDDN questions, feel free to ask me. I will point you in the right direction if I don't have the answer for you. USDDN is run by the players. It's the only organization that is run by a large group of people. And it was started, though, by Melissa Heater, who's no longer with us, and she is one of the pioneers of the sport, who brought a lot of the things that we use to train and condition our dogs from the horse world, brought into the disc dog world. She's the one that brought them in. And because of that, they have a lot of unique rules, I think. She looks at USDDN looks at things very specifically. Yeah, they try to make it more objective, and they're very specific on what you're scoring, whereas, you know, most of the other organizations that have freestyle judging, it's very general. It's like dog category, human category, whereas USDDN, the categories are more broken down. So the dogs category is broken into like athleticism, grip of the disc, you know, those sort of things. So it gets broken down into more specific things. And if you're looking to get into freestyle, especially, if you look at the USDDN rules and the score sheet, that's a great starting point for people to get started, to give you an idea of what tricks to try and what they're looking for, because they give you a list of what they want to see. Basically, we are looking for, I think it's 7 specific items in terms of freestyle, outside of just the dog running fast and jumping and things like that, specific tricks that they're looking for. So it could be dog catches and vaults and long throws and back and forth and around the worlds and quick rapid fire kind of throws and things like that. And the organization offers freestyle and toss and fetch. But their toss and fetch is a little different. Yeah, it is different. So their toss and fetch, now most other organizations, the toss and fetch is just 1 minute, but for USDDN, the toss and fetch is 90 seconds, and it's your best of 5 throws. So even if you get 8 or 9 throws in a round, they're only going to take your best 5 catches. So it's a little bit of a different spin on the game of toss and fetch, but it's still a lot of fun. Right. And then we have one more organization. 2 more, I think. Oh, 2 more? Okay. No, 3. Oh, geez, there's more. There's been a little, you know, there's a lot of organizations, everybody kind of wants to put their own twist on the game. So a couple of the long distance organizations that solely offer long distance are the Quadruped, which is the longest standing distance only competition. And that's more of a head-to-head bracket type situation where you kind of face another competitor and fight your way to be the last one standing. And that is truly the longest throw really does win. There's no time. You're not timed when you're throwing or anything like that. Yeah. It is longest catch, your longest catch. Yeah, longest catch. Longest throw doesn't mean anything. Right. Longest catch. The Hero Cup is much like the Quadruped, very similar. I think it's a little bit more open on the types of discs that you can use. And then there is... There is another distance event that's part of Updog. Oh, that's true. That is another organization. So Updog offers a variety of games. So kind of like Skyhounds, they offer freestyle, they offer long distance, and they offer a variety of games. I mean, there's too many to go through them all here, but their most unique thing that they do is they incorporate agility into some of their games. So if you're an agility person, it's a great intro into the sport. And they also allow rollers to count in, I think, all of the games. They have a lot of games, man. They got at least 10, I think. And I think you can use like floppy disks. They're more open in the high levels. You can use any type of disc that doesn't have a hole in the middle. And then they also offer some AKC titling options as well. So they're a little bit more like Skyhounds, that they kind of offer everything. Skyhounds offers everything. Right. And then, you know, UFO, AWI, and USCDN all kind of offer freestyle, toss and fetch, and maybe distance. And then Quadruped and Hero Cup are long distance only. And then there's one more, FDDO, that it kind of went a little bit defunct, but I know there's some folks out there that are trying to bring it back and revive it. And that event is all about the games. So it's just different
types of throwing and dog games.
Each scored individually. You have a freestyle, you have a sort of a long distance. It's an interesting one. It's a pyramid. And I forget what some of the other ones were, but the obstacle course.
There's obstacle course.
And
you'll have to kind of look at each of those organizations for their individual rules.
I have to give FDDO props because they were the second organization ever formed in 1998. So I know that. And Bill Waters ran that, and he's retired now. He's a really nice guy, though. If you ever happen to run across him, you'll be lucky. It's a lot like Alex. You could just talk to him forever. Such a nice guy. There is one more that we should mention. It's not exactly an organization, but Purina Incredible Dog Challenge.
They're a little bit different too.
They're different.
Their event is more of not just a disc event, but more of just a dog sport event.
It's like Olympics, Doggy Olympics.
It is kind of like Doggy Olympics. And so it's a competition in the way that it's filmed for television. It's just a joy to be there, a joy to watch. I'm sure many of you listening have probably seen this before. It's a way that a lot of people get involved in the sport. But they offer dock diving, agility, sometimes Jack Russell racing. I've seen them do fly ball. They've done some other things, but of course they
surfing
offer
dogs.
Yeah, that's true. They do surfing dogs too. And they, of course, have disc, which they call freestyle flying disc. So
yes, and
it's generally a freestyle event. You get 2 bonus throws after that are kind of like toss and fetch, but really it's just 2 throws. But the main core of it is the freestyle. Yes,
and I would say it's also one of the pinnacles of the sport to get into. It's a very difficult one to compete in. It is an invitation system, although you can try out, and they typically take 2 people to the finals. Sometimes it's 3, but it's very difficult in general to be able to get into it. But it's worth trying out. Go out and try out. You can try out for it. It's really
it's fun to just be part of the event. We did an episode on that a couple episodes ago. So if you want to learn more about the Pure and Incredible Dog Challenge, you can click back a few episodes and check that out.
Absolutely.
And so that's pretty much all we have for getting started in the sport. I know there's tons and tons more questions that you might have as you get involved into it. And feel free to comment below if you have any questions on getting started or where to get discs or how to get involved. Feel free to comment below and we'll help try to point you in the right direction. And I think the most important part,
love your dogs.
Yeah, enjoy and have fun with your dogs. And welcome to the world of disc dogging.
That's right.
This has been the Disc Dog Pod. Thanks for watching.